Connecting. Andy, this is one of those moments that have been in the making for probably 5, maybe 10 years, and it's all finally coming together. I mean, when I think about stories, I think about selling, I think about service, and fact, we should find a way to put all 3 of those together. Stories plus service equals sales. We really should, by the way. Take a moment, if you would, and I know we're going to teach people how to discover and develop their signature story and selling style. But I'm curious, my man, why you decided to go into the vault, open it up, if you would, pull out all the goodies, and right here publicly for anyone that wants to share this message and teach them the 5, I think there's 5, the 5 story styles. Why now, man? Why?
Yeah, man. So first of all, you are so right, man. You and I both know this has been in the making now. We've talked about, finding ways to really just collaborate and merge our 2 worlds. When I was sending an email out to my email list, one of the things that I told him, I said, look, man, me and Shay Brown are coming together and we're going to collide our 2 worlds. Like sales is going to collide with story. And the reality of it is you really can't do one without the other very effectively, right? So even if somebody is a, really, really great or consider themselves pretty good salesperson, chances are part of what makes them really good at sales is that they're really great at also telling stories, okay? And the reality of it is if you want to really get good at sales, you better know how to be able to tell stories, okay? Because stories ultimately is what allows people to be able to convert and connect. And no one's better, in my personal opinion, at really getting people to be able to sell in their own unique style. And that's what I love about you, Shay. You're not trying to make people a Shay Brown, right? You're not trying to have everybody be a mini version of you, but rather you're saying, hey, let's meet you where you're at, which is what I've always loved about your own, the signature sales styles is like, you're not trying to say, hey, there's only one way to do sales. You're saying, hey, look, let's figure out what your style is and let's figure out how to make that style work for you, right? Let's figure out what's working for you and let's also figure out what's working against you. And so here's what the reality of it is, man. You and I have both, taken so many tests in the past, like personality tests. I mean, most folks, you've heard of Myers-Briggs, you've heard of, Fascinate, you've heard of 16 personalities. We've heard of all of the different personality tests. And the reality of it is one of the things that I've come to realize whenever I've taken those tests, even when I've been reluctant to take those tests, I learned quite a bit. Like, I don't know about you, Shay, but I'm going to honestly say, yes, I have been reluctant with DISC, Fascinate, Myers-Briggs, you name it, list after list. I have been reluctant sometimes to take another personality exam or quiz and so forth. But I tell you, every single time I take them and I learn something new about myself, and I also learn something new about the people that I'm looking to really connect with. And so I think that even when we want to get away from taking quizzes and learning about our signature sales style or learning about our storyteller style, even when we want to get away from it, at the end of the day, if we want to get better at connecting with people, at the end of the day, if we want to produce better results, at the end of the day, if we want to level up our game, it is essential, absolutely essential, that we really know what our sales style is, in your case, Shay Brown, and also understanding what our storyteller style is. In my case, is Andy Henriquez, the Master Storyteller. And so I'm super excited, man. I'm stoked, as they would say, for us to just share this time together. And I think personally, man, I'm not being biased or anything, but I think anybody who's tuned in right now, they're in for a treat. So I don't know if they were just like turned on their cell phone or on their computer and they're scrolling through social media and they say, oh man, look at Shay Brown and Andy Henriquez chatting it up. I'm telling you right now, if you stick around, you're in for a treat. It's going to be like so much value in us just having a conversation, because really that's what we said we wanted to do, Shay, was really just have a conversation with one another. But we know that magic happens whenever we start getting into these conversations, man. So,
Yeah.
but Shay, I'm gonna ask you the question, man. What made you, because I remember years ago, man, when you first started talking about sort of like the signature sales style and so forth. What made you even come up with these signature sales styles, and why was it important to you to develop it? And when you're done, I'm definitely going to share what caused me to create my Storyteller Quiz. But I'm just sort of curious with you, because you're more of a veteran at this than I am. Shay, you created this a while back, and I'm curious to know if there's some similarities in our stories. What sort of got us here?
Andy, that's a really good point. And, for folks that are watching now, what's going to be really different is that this is an opportunity to learn the 5 stories, the 5 signature story styles, and their signature selling styles. What brought me to this point, if you're watching out there, maybe you were like me, where when you first started, your coach told you to sell just like them. And Andy, I'll be very honest with you. When I first started, I sounded just like my coach. Why? Because he taught me how to sell. And I would say the same words and I would be a parrot, but I wouldn't feel good about it. And many of you out there right now, you're thinking to yourself, yeah, Shay, I can relate to that. I was told to sell like a woman, or I was told to sell like my coach, or I was told to sell like I'm in charge. And it didn't feel authentic. It didn't feel real. It didn't feel like who I was. And I said to myself, there's got to be an easier way. But I didn't know there was a such thing as a signature selling style because I didn't know what I didn't know. So then I would read, what? Yeah, books. Yeah, and I would say, maybe I need to sound like this. And then I would watch videos and I would say, well, maybe I need to sound like this. But here's what I learned. And I want you all to jot this down in your notes because this is very important. I was given these scripts, Andy, and this is why I wanted to create something. They said, Shay, here's the script. You read this script. You read these words, these magical words, and people would all of a sudden just start buying. But here's what I learned. Everyone jot this down in your notes, Andy. This is my breakthrough right here. Scripts are for actors, and you are not an actor. Everyone jot that down right now. If you haven't shared this out, hit the share button right now. Hit the watch party right now, because I want you to know the scripts are for actors, and you're not an actor. Now, see, I didn't know that, Andy. I didn't know that I wasn't an actor. So what I had to do, Andy, in about a minute or two, and I want to get to that first, I want you to unveil it. I don't care what you say, man. I know there's a quiz they can take, man, and you can talk about the quiz later, but I want you to think right now about release at least one of the signature story styles. But for me, what made me want to create it is I had to learn how to sell like me. Just like as you're listening right now, you might be thinking, I need to sell like me. You need to sell like you. And that's what I admire about Andy and when he talks about it, which I hope he does. Don't worry, I'm going to ask him. Don't worry. That he talks about this signature story. So you don't sound like Andy. You don't sound like Les Brown. You don't sound like Tony Robbins. You don't sound like Oprah Winfrey. You sound like you. And isn't that important? So Andy, what my clients wanted, and this is why I created this, they wanted to be authentic. They wanted to be natural, Andy. And they wanted to be transparent about who they really are. And they wanted to speak in their voice. And if that's you as you're listening right now, say I. Just yell I real loud. I can hear you say, Shay, me. Someone look right below the video.
Me.
Look right below that video right now and write those words. That's me. I want to be authentic, Shay. I want to be myself. I want to sound like me. Why? Because being you is beautiful. So Andy, is there saying, yeah, I want to be like me, Andy. I want to sell like me. I want to have a story like me. I discovered that there was different styles. And if I could break it down to different styles, then I could be authentic. I could be transparent. I didn't have to sound like a used car salesman. And once I learned how I sold, then I could go to my marketing team and say, this is what we need to do. These are the clients that are attracted to my style. Andy, I know you tell them the stories that they can actually share with folks so they can translate it. But isn't that much easier than you going to marketing saying, excuse me, marketing, could you please tell me what I should say, please? No, you want to be yourself. And I'm coming to you now, but this is what we want out of this. If Andy said, Shay, give us one sentence that sums up them discovering and developing their signature story and selling style, what's the one sentence? I want you to be yourself. And that's what I like about Andy with what you're doing. You're teaching people how they can be themselves. Look, if you're out there right now, I'm going to ask Andy to release one. He's not going to charge you for this, so there's no cash app, so don't worry about that. There's no credit card needed. Don't worry about that. But Andy, you got to give us at least one of the signature story styles, man. You've been in the lab, you've been working with the professors, you've been with the doctors, you've been doing the research. Give us one. And before he does that, everyone, do me a favor. We believe in this one philosophy that we serve plus add value. And that's what Andy's going to do. So the way you can serve right now is hit the watch party button. Hit the share button. And when you hit that button, just write those words, serve plus add value. And that's what I like about Andy when he teaches you your story signature styles. You're really serving, you're really adding value, and it's not about you. So hit the share button, hit the watch party button, and after you've done that, look right below the video and write these words. It's my time. It's your time. All right, Andy, it's their time. Over to you, man. Give us one.
You know, but it's so crazy. Before I give one, now I know Shay's going to be like, no, give one. But before I give one, I got to share this, man, because, you know, I was just sort of listening to your story on what made you decide to create the signature sales styles. And what really prompted me to figure out what the different storyteller styles were was the reality of it is that, you know, during my, you know, years of, you know, really just training and learning how to be able to share stories in a powerful way. And yes, I'm very grateful that, you know, today I have clients like Office Depot, Bacardi, Accenture, Pratt& Whitney. You know, I'm grateful that, you know, Goldcast has chosen 2 of my videos now. It's really awesome. One, I think right now, Shay, has over 4 million views. Another one has over 500,000 views that was recently released of stories. But before I even knew how to tell stories like that, one thing that I was able to observe is that people could be very different in their way of communicating, specifically in their way of sharing stories, and yet still be very effective. So what I realized was that there wasn't just one way of being an effective storyteller per se. There wasn't just one way of being an effective communicator, and there wasn't just one way of being able to influence people. And even for myself, when I get the opportunity to work with so many coaches and speakers and entrepreneurs, what I find is that there are all these different styles. And when I get the opportunity to work with these individuals, my goal is not to try to make them embody my style. My goal is to not create a bunch of mini versions of me. And as a matter of fact, if I ever find someone attempting to do that, Shay, I always tell them it's okay if momentarily you model. It's okay, because all of us go through that. You know, I don't hide at all that, you know, for years, one of the biggest influences of my life was Les Brown. And I can tell you, if you would have seen me over 10 years ago when I first joined Les Brown's Platinum Speaker Program, and you would have saw me in my beginning time, you would say, boy, that dude sounds a whole lot like Les Brown. Because what was I doing? I was modeling, and that's okay for a season. It's okay to model, right? Success leaves clues. So it's okay to model, but then at some point, you've got to do what Shay was talking about. You've got to be the authentic, true version of you, right? But sometimes we need somebody to validate the thing that does make us awesome and makes us unique, right? So there is something that makes you unique. There's something that you are doing right. There is something that is working for you when you do share and tell stories, although there are probably a lot of things that are also working against you and that you can improve. But I think that before we get into what you can improve, it's important that we validate who you are and what is actually working for you. So I sat out, and Shay, you and I were talking about this offline. I went online to try to figure out, hey, you know, I'm just curious, what's my storyteller style? Like, what type of a natural born storyteller am I? And so I went online to try to find some type of a quiz or something I could take that would teach me and help me to figure out what was my storyteller style, because I knew that all of those personality test styles that I took in the past, Myers-Briggs, DISC, Fascinate, 16 personalities, whenever I've taken those, I got a lot of insight into who I was and also got a lot of insight into how I could connect with other people. And I said, well, how awesome would it be if for every individual, before we start saying, hey, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to do this, that we first say, hey, this is what your natural style is as a storyteller. And since I couldn't find the quiz per se, I decided to go ahead and create one, right? And that's where it gets at the whole idea of you're either going to be part of the problem or you're going to become part of the solution. So we have chosen to be part of the solution, right? So that's the thing I wanted to share. So here's the thing, right? So Shay's sort of prompting me right now to at least share one of the storyteller styles with you. And I'm going to share that with you. And I'll start off with this one first. You know, when we think about this, the very first storyteller style that I want to share with you, and if you're a note taker, I want you to go ahead and write this down. But the other thing is, Shay and I love to go back and look in the comments. Yeah. So as we're sharing things with you and it's making sense, if you would just, make sure you leave us a comment. As a matter of fact, if you're ready right now for me to share the very first storyteller style, do me a favor right now in the comment section, put I'm ready, I'm ready, I'm ready, I'm ready, I'm ready. Go ahead and put I'm ready, right? Go ahead and put it right now. Put I'm ready. I see some of y'all putting I'm ready. All right, who else is ready? Okay.
Yeah. Stacy Moore says she's ready. Brenda Myers is out there right now. Dr. Connect Thigpen is in the house. So many folks. I can't get to all the names, by the way. Okay, Jeff Cade is in the house right now. So many folks are tuning in right now, even as we're speaking right now. Carol Boston says she's ready. I'll take it back to you, man. It.
Okay, good. So if you think about it, the very first storyteller style is what I like to refer to as the reporter, AKA the logical storyteller. So if you're a note taker, I want you to write down reporter. As a matter of fact, somebody type that right now in the chat, right? This is the reporter, AKA logical storyteller. And the reason why I came up with the term reporter is because I want you to think about what a reporter does, right? So I want you to imagine right now, I'm in a high-rise condo right now as I'm talking to all of you. I'm actually on the 35th floor, and I'm most certainly not talking about the condo where I'm at right now, but I want you to envision that there's some condo out there and some type of a disturbance is taking place at the condo, okay? And then normally we are relying on the reporter to share the story with us of what is taking place. And so we've all seen it before. Here's the scene. The news cameras are set up. The reporter is standing in front of the building, and the reporter is telling the story. And oftentimes when the reporter is telling the story, what they are doing is they are predominantly just sharing the facts. It says, ladies and gentlemen, we are standing outside right now. We're at East Bellevue Drive. And if you look, we got the building right behind me right here. This building is about 32 stories or so. And if you notice right there on the 17th floor, what you're going to see is we've got a man standing out on the balcony. He appears to be highly distressed, and he's actually looks like he's thinking about jumping off the balcony. Now, if you look right there in the other corner, you'll see we've got some people who live in the building that are trying to get him to come down. We've got the fire department. Let's pan down to the fire department. So the reporter is actually telling the story. But as they tell the story, what you're going to notice that they're primarily doing is simply reporting the facts. And so we know how many stories are in the building. We know that somebody's on the 17th floor. We know this person is distressed. We know that this person's thinking about jumping and committing suicide, right? We know that there are people who are on the side trying to talk them down. We know the fire department is down there anxiously and all this. So the reporter is doing a really good job of reporting the facts and reporting the details. And the reason why is because the reporter is highly logical, and the way that they communicate stories is by simply reporting the facts, by simply reporting the details, okay? Now, that's wonderful. However, there is a shortfall when it comes to being a reporter, right? Being the type of storyteller that is just telling the facts and the details. The issue is, as that reporter is speaking and we're watching this televised news experience, what's happening is this is a highly emotional experience. Like someone is thinking about giving up their life, right? And all of these people are watching, but the reporter is just giving the details, and it almost feels as if they're forgetting that this is a human being that's on the 17th floor that's considering jumping off the balcony. So when you're listening, he or she is giving all the details, but you don't feel any real emotion. And so the thing about the reporter style of storytelling, they are great at giving facts and details and communicating things logically. But the issue is that there is this disconnect because they are forfeiting the opportunity to connect with people on an emotional level. And we know when it comes to people taking action and when it comes to connection, we need emotion. And I think when we were talking about this offline, Shay, you were talking about one of the signature selling styles that very similar, that forfeit sometimes to their detriment the opportunity to really build connection. And since I just brought that up about the reporter, aka Logical Storyteller, I think it'd be really awesome if we could really be able to do this hand in hand so that they can be thinking not just from their story cap on, but they could put their sales cap on. And do you mind, Shay, just sort of sharing when it comes to your
are you like are you like turn this around and you asked me to do something? I thought I was a questionnaire guy,
well,
man.
You thought you were just gonna put me to work during this. Listen, dude, I'm hijacking your show right now. This is no longer. If you're
out there say, Andy, don't do that. Andy, don't do that.
Listen, man, this is not just an interview, my friend. This is a dialogue. And on a serious note, Shay, the reason why I think it'd be so much more powerful if we make it a dialogue is because when our worlds combine, what actually happens is it's sort of like a puzzle and the pieces fit together, right? Because the very same thing I'm sharing about stories, there are some strong similarities when it comes to people who are looking to sell and who are looking to convert. Yeah. And when they're looking to really be able to build real connection, some people forfeit it because when they're selling, as you will describe right now, as you even talk about it, we know that they're just relying way too much on logic and facts and details. So talk to me, my friend.
Okay, I'm happy to do that, Andy.
In case you didn't know, I already got my notepad ready, and I myself am going to be taking notes. So if you thought you were not going to be working, I'm sorry to tell you, you will be working, my friend. You will be working.
Okay, first of all, I'm willing to work. I'll take on the challenge. Only Andy can do this, by the way. Good news. He's a good friend. He's a better frat brother and just a great guy, by the way. But I got to one-up you here because I got to get ready to think what I got to talk now. I got to work. But before I work, let me pass it back to you and say, look, people want to know their story style now, okay? You gave one, you challenged me to give one, which I'm gonna do, but you gotta come back and give another one. That's number one. So now you think about what you're gonna do. And then number two, so you can't hijack the show, brother, it's still my show. And then number two, tell them now. Like for some folks out there, like, I need to know my signature story now. I need to take this quiz that you keep dropping down. Take a moment, if you would, and tell them where can they go so they can take the quiz if they want to do that. And I want them to put it in your notes. And for those folks that are out there and you know that this is your year, you know that this is your time, look below the video and put ready to serve. Ready to serve. Because as Andy gives you this link, it means you're going to be ready to serve because you're going to improve how you're telling stories. And that's going to help you serve other folks. So Andy, real quick, and then come back to me, but real quick. Tell them where can they go, my man? Because you can't leave us hanging, bro. You can't leave us hanging.
No, I won't leave us hanging. So a couple of things I will say. So first and foremost, everything that Shay and I are going to talk about, you may find that you have one or two of these attributes, but there's always going to be one that is really dominant. And it's the reason why you absolutely want to make sure that you take this quiz so that you can identify what your storytelling style is. Not only that, but the really cool thing is once you take the quiz, you're actually going to get a video from me where I share with you what are the strengths of this storyteller style that you have? And then what are the areas where you have room for improvement? And me and Shay are always trying to one up each other. So the real cool thing is too, after you take the quiz, you are going to get access to a really cool free training that is less than 15 minutes. You're going to absolutely love it. So let me tell you what you're going to do. And really easy, you're going to head over to storytellerquiz.com, storytellerquiz.com. So open up another browser right now, because I do want you to stick around for this conversation that Shay and I are going to have. And then once we're done, you're going to go ahead and take the quiz. And one of the things I want you to promise us for both what I'm going to share with you and what Shay's going to share with you, we want you to come back within 24 hours to this segment on the Happy Entrepreneur Show. And we want you to put down your results in the comment section. So after you've taken the quiz and you find out whether you are the reporter, you're the evangelist, you are what we refer to as the marketer, or any of the other styles I'll be talking to you about, we want you to make sure that you share the results, because we want to find out what your results are. So really quickly, open up another browser, and it is storytellerquiz.com. Storytellerquiz.com.
So if I got you right, that's storytellerquiz.com. Is that right? Storytellerquiz.com. Let me see if they got that for you. They may have it for you, and they've been working in the background. At least they're trying to. There we go. So they would go. Why is it showing my picture? Let me go back and get Andy's picture. So show Andy's picture. There we go. So Andy, they can see it now. They go to learn your signature story. Go to www.storytellerquiz.com. Okay, and then they don't need a credit card, do they, my brother?
No credit card needed. This is free. Free. And what's really cool is it's only going to take you probably about a minute to take the quiz. And if you decide to take advantage of the bonus training, that's another 15 minutes. But that's why we want you to open another browser so you're ready to go and take that quiz right afterwards. But continue to listen to us right now, because we're going to be unpackaging some great stuff with you. But that's where you'll go ahead and take the quiz.
Man, I love it, Andy. I love what you're doing. Learning your signature signature story style will help you in your communications, because you don't want to just be the reporter. As Andy was talking about it, one of the reasons why we wanted to teach folks their own signature selling style, and we wanted to be in combination with understanding the stories that you're going to tell, is that we understand that we can't teach you to be like everybody else, right? That's one of the things we do. And why don't we teach you to do that? Think about this. Why would I teach a cat to bark and expect it to be successful? Cats don't bark. And so you have your own signature way that you sell. You have your own way that you like to communicate, and you have your own set of skills. God's giving you your own gift. He's giving you your own brain. He's giving you your own experience, and now you can share that. So I want to share one, Andy, because just like you talked about on one side, there's the reporter. When you think about it from a sales perspective, and why is this important for you, even if you don't sell, even if you're not an entrepreneur right now, you're always selling your ideas. You're always selling your thoughts. You're always selling your values. You're always selling what you believe. And you think about it like this. Let me frame it like this in 60 seconds. Ministers sell faith every single week, right? Teachers sell education every single day. And Andy, who's a parent, I'm a parent, we sell value to our children every single day. So no matter what you're saying or doing, you're always conveying something. So you want to know your signature selling style so you can better effectively communicate the stories you got to share. Now, I wanted you to have that so you understand there is one called the Scientist Selling Style. Now, there are 7 different signature selling styles. Someone do me a favor, look right below the video right now and write these words, Scientist Selling Style. Just put that down. And I want you to think if this is you. Think this is you. Now, some of you put down reporter because you're like, that's me. Now, the Scientist signature selling style, well, they sell and they move people to action based on facts and data. Facts and what? Data. Now, they don't do it intentionally, but what makes them more comfortable is that when they show up to have a conversation to serve, they make sure they prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that what they're saying works. I was working with a client, by the way, who's really good at this, by the way. They're introvert. just like I am. I'm an introvert. And they go to the meeting so prepared that they can share case studies of what they're saying, and they can prove that it's true. And I had the conversation with them. They said, Shay, they needed it, but they didn't buy. I said, well, here's what I want you to know, and this might be you out there. People don't buy what they need. Some people need to lose weight, but they don't buy weight loss products. Some people need to save money, but they don't buy financial products. But if they have an interest, want, or desire. See, I have a fetish, by the way. I'm embarrassed to tell you guys, I love t-shirts. I got a closet full of t-shirts. My wife's probably watching right now and saying, don't encourage him. But if you have a t-shirt you want me to buy, I'll buy it. And I will buy t-shirts. I have no need for a t-shirt. But if Andy shows me a cool shirt that I like that has a cool saying on it, I'm going to order that sucker. No matter, I got my hand to wait 6 weeks. I will pay $100 to get a $10 t-shirt here because I want the t-shirt. And so what's my message to you? When you understand that the scientist selling style is your style, because you might like to have facts, you like to have data, you like to understand exactly what you're going to communicate and why. It's an important part of the process, but for some folks, when that is their predominant style, it has its strengths because you are prepared, you're ready, and you've got to answer these questions. But in life, there's duality. There are high highs, there's low lows, there's summer, winter, spring, and fall. We're happy, we're not happy. And so the scientists, sometimes our greatest strengths, Andy, can be our biggest weaknesses. And you need to know this because when you take your signature selling style, which is how you sell, that's what you got to know, plus you understand the buyer's profile, which is how they buy, plus neuro-linguistic sales, which is the words you got to use to communicate. You see, it all starts with your signature selling style. That's part of the formula. So I want you to jot this down. Look right below the video, and if signature scientist selling style is your style, do that right now, right below the video. Andy, I'm glad that you brought that up. I'm glad that you're allowing me to share a little bit about how story and selling go together by being authentic, by being yourself, by really serving, by adding value. And put this in your notes, because the scientists selling style, they still do this. They understand this one concept. Please put this down in your notes. People will pay you today if you help them solve a problem today. One of the reasons I'm going to challenge Andy to give us another story style over there is that I know that you want to help a little girl or a little boy or older man or older woman break through in their life, or break through in their health, or break through in their finances, or break through in their marketing, or break through in their relationships. And so you've got to communicate, whether it's through a webinar, whether it's through a video, whether it's in writing, whether it's face-to-face, which is kind of hard to do these days, or whether it's over the phone, it has to happen. So Andy, thanks a lot for letting me share that, man. Signature selling style is important. We do have a quiz. I'll cue you up, but it's important, man. So I want to go ahead and you share another.
Hey, but Shay, you know what? Because here's a cool thing. Because I don't know about you, but one of the things I look forward to is not only just sort of sharing these and making people aware of these storytelling styles and also these selling styles. But one of the things is, like, I want them to have the awareness, and I can't wait to come back. And normally I'll wait till like the next day because I want them to stick around so I could see what people's quiz results are. And I hope you guys are going to remember to come back to the Happy Entrepreneur Show and post your results. But listen, man, I told them how to figure out what kind of a storytelling style they have. They're going to go to storytellerquiz.com. Yeah. But dude, you got to at least let them know, because nobody wants to just know about these sales styles and not figure out which one they are, my brother. So Shay, how do they find out what their sales style is, right? Like, how do they do it? Like, you know, for me, they're going to take a quick quiz. Like, what are they going to do so they can figure out what their signature selling style is?
Well, you know, Andy, if you're going to twist my arm and make me have to help these folks learn their signature selling style, well, I'm going to just do that. So for those folks that are out there, you're at the right place, at the right time, in the right conversation, getting the right information that will change your life and your business if you'll let it. Let me share what you can do. Some of you want to take the quiz. I get it. There's 7 unique signature selling styles. You want to know what yours is. so you can know what to say, when to say it, and how to say it. Let me say with you. I'm gonna make it easy. You're gonna text in. Let me see if it comes up. There we go. Yeah, that's just so good. And my team does such a good job. Text, it's not even perfect, by the way, but sometimes in life you don't have to get it right. You just got to get going. I know we have fancy graphics. Who needs all that stuff right now? Text the word signature. Now, I want you to do this. The universe rewards people who take action differently than those that don't. So get your mobile device out right now, which you're probably watching us on that, by the way. Open up the browser and go into messages and type 202-270-1662. Type that number right now. When is now o'clock time, as Delatorre would say now. And then put the word signature in there. The signature is the keyword that lets us know to send you the quiz that you can go take immediately, because you might have been selling all of your life and you didn't notice because it didn't exist. We created it because it didn't exist for me. And I said, never again, not under my watch, will there be another entrepreneur that's like me, they got the right heart, they got the purpose and passion, it's in line, but they don't know their signature selling style, thus they don't have the resources. Text the word signature to 202-270-1662. Once you do that, put your first name in there so we know who you are. Put your last name in there. That's very important. Put your best contact number. So some of you, we're going to text it to you right away. And then others of you, put your email, because y'all still like to get stuff sent to your email. Do that now. Look, there's no cost. There's no charge. There's no catch. And my promise to you, once you know this, it will create the breakthrough for you. Andy, you've upped the ante. That's why I love working with you, man. I love how you always are raising the bar. And I know you always like to say it, so I got to beat you to the punch, that you always got to show up for your life. So today, we're going to show up for you. I got to adjust because I'm not going to just be interviewing now. Now I got to go to work. But I showed up because I show up for my life, baby. Why? Because today is my January 1st. If you're out there right now, I want you to look right below that video. And I'm coming to you, man. I hope you got another signature story ready. I'm coming to you. Y'all are texting in 202-270-1662 to learn your signature selling style. Put your first name, your last name, your best contact number, and mobile. Put these words right below, because Andy, you're going to change some lives. I know you got another one, so you better gear it up. You look right below the video and put today is my January 1st. You get a new start. You get a do-over. You get an opportunity that your past will not represent your future. You didn't have these tools. But one of the things my daddy, Marshall Brown, told me, he's no longer with us, passed away on May 2nd, 2017. He's always telling me, no matter what trouble I got myself in, you know what he used to say? Che, because my name is Che. Everybody says Che, but it's Che. Che, the future is spotless. And your future is spotless right now. So Andy, go ahead. You got the paintbrush, my man. Give them number two, man. Give them number two on the signature story style.
I love it. And let me tell you something. What we may end up doing, and we're going to find out, we may end up doing this as a 2-part series, right? Because one of the things I definitely want to make sure of is I want you all to get an opportunity. If you didn't already do so, make sure you're going to take, Shay's quiz. You're going to text the word signature. He gave you the telephone number. And then you're going to take the Storyteller quiz. And I don't want you guys to be overwhelmed. So maybe we do 1 or 2 other ones, and we may even come back again. I'm just putting it out there because I think you guys are going to get a lot of value here. So let me share this. The second type of storyteller style that I want to share with you is what we refer to as the juggler, right? So I want you to imagine for a moment that I got a bunch of balls in my hand and I'm juggling these balls, right? The other name for this juggler is what we refer to as AKA the accidental storyteller, okay? Juggler, AKA accidental storyteller. So first of all, I want you to go ahead and put juggler in the comments, juggler in the comments, juggler in the comments. So let me tell you who the juggler is, all right? This is the individual that when they are in a conversation with either a friend or a family member or even with a prospect, and just in general, when it comes to communication, they've got all these thoughts that are swarming around in their mind. And when they communicate, they normally are just sharing whatever comes to mind. So the way their brain works when they're talking is they start off with one idea, and then something else comes up, and then something else comes up, and then something else comes up, and then something else comes up. Now, in their mind, this all makes sense, okay? But if you were to go ahead and draw a line to connect all the dots when they're having a conversation, it would look like a spider's web, right? Because it would be like they go from here to there to there to here to there and that. And in their mind, everything that they're sharing totally makes sense because contextually, they understand everything that they're sharing. And so even though when they're talking to you, it sounds incomplete, in their mind, they know everything. So they don't understand why you're not quite clear on what they were sharing with you, right? So this accidental storyteller, if you want to envision yourself for a moment, I want you to envision you're at a party, right? You're at a get together, right? And for myself, I'm not much of a drinker myself, but let's say you've been at a get together or a party before, and there's somebody at the party that maybe perhaps has had a couple of drinks and so forth. And it's later on in this gathering, and this person, whether it's natural or not, but they seem to be very, very talkative. And when they begin to speak, they're going from one thought to another thought to another thought to another thought to another thought. And there are some folks that, you know what, no alcohol has to be involved. Nothing needs to be involved. That's just the way their brain works. They have a thought and they speak the thought. Something comes to mind and they get it out of their mind right away. Now, the beautiful thing about the accidental, or what we call the juggler storyteller style, is the fact that this person does not overthink things. What keeps a lot of people from being great communicators, great influencers, and great storytellers is that sometimes they have a tendency to overthink things, right? So they got something that they want to say, and they're like, well, maybe I should say it like this, but maybe I should really say it like this. And so what happens is they overthink things. In the process of overthinking it, they lose a part of their personality. They lose a lot of the excitement and energy behind their messaging. And they tend to lose the person that they're looking to communicate with. And so the thing that I love about the juggler or the accidental storyteller is that they don't overthink things. It comes to mind and boom, they say it right away. Now, that's the wonderful thing about the juggler. But the thing that creates a bit of a challenge is sometimes they can so much speak whatever comes to mind that they lack a lot of structure when they're telling their stories. So their stories have a tendency to go all over the place. And as a result of them going all over the place, they lose the connection that they had with their prospect and with their audience. And because they lose the people's attention, then unfortunately, they don't produce the outcome and the result that they want. And so one of the things that the juggler, all right, the accidental storyteller could really work on is getting more structure, getting more clarity around their story so that when they are sharing their story, there is a specific point that they're making with their story. And so the entire story is structured to drive that particular point as opposed to them just sharing whatever comes to mind. And so if you know someone who is an accidental storyteller or a juggler, or if you yourself have been a juggler, or at least if what I'm sharing with you, you're like, oh, I can think of a person like that. I can think of someone who just shares when they come to mind. I want you to just go ahead and put yes, right? That just lets me know that either you can think of a juggler, you have had moments of being a juggler, or you know, man, I am a juggler. Just do me a favor and put yes, yes. Put yes, yes in the comments. And it's just something to consider. Now, doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with that, but there most certainly are some things that can be adjusted to help the reporter and also to help what I would like to call as the juggler, the accidental storyteller, to become better storytellers, more effective storytellers, and then ultimately get to the point where they become master storytellers, which is what all of us would eventually love to aspire to be these extraordinary master storytellers where we understand how to incorporate all of the elements of storytelling so that we can attract our ideal customer and clients, so that we can be able to better influence people, and so that we can have better connection. So far I've shared two with you: the reporter as well as the juggler. The reporter is also known as the logical storyteller. The juggler is also known as the accidental storyteller. Accidental storyteller. And so I know Shay's gonna ask, in case you guys are jumping on right now and you're coming in a little bit late, you're like, wait a second, what did I miss? So far, I'm going through the 5 different storyteller styles. Shay is talking about the 7 different signature selling styles, and we're sort of going pound for pound, right? Like in the ring. And one of the things we want to do is bring these to your awareness, let you know that the more awareness you know of who you are, it's going to help you to identify what's working for you, what's working against you. And then it's also going to help you to identify these styles with the people that you're looking to connect with and communicate with. So in case you're just now coming on, number one of the things that you're going to do as soon as we're done is you're going to take the quiz so that you can figure out what your storyteller style is. And once again, it is storytellerquiz.com, storytellerquiz.com. And the other thing that you're going to do is we want to make sure that you understand what your signature sales style is. So you're going to text the word signature. And matter of fact, since you have a cell phone, you might as well do that right now as well. You're going to text the word signature. And Shay, if you could put that on the screen for me. I know I'm taking over your show, but I don't care.
Yeah, you are taking over the show. We're going to have part 2 at some point. You're taking over the show, but that's fine. That's fine. We're going to let Andy do what Andy is doing, by the way.
All right. So you're going to text the word signature to 202-270-1662. And once again, you're going to text the word signature, that's it, to the telephone number 202-270-1662. And of course, after you do so, you're going to be prompted to do a couple of things. And the real cool thing is you're going to learn which of the 7 signature selling styles you are. And of course, when you go take the quiz, the storyteller quiz, you're going to know which of the 5 actual storyteller styles you possess. It's going to be really, really cool. Mm-hmm. I believe that in the combination of you understanding what your storyteller style and you understanding what your selling style is, you're going to learn so much about yourself, but then it's also going to position you to really understand what you need to work on and what you need to develop so that you can become ultimately a way better communicator and also a better closer, right? So when I talk about to folks all the time, the 3 things that I think is essential is number 1, you've got to capture people's attention. We capture their attention through our stories. Then you've got to be able to connect with them, right? Which is really, really essential. But then why do you want to capture people's attention and why do you want to connect? Ultimately, because you want to convert. And that's why Shay Brown is the man you need to hear from right now. And Shay, I've given them 2.
You've given them 2.
So now you so far have shared 1, my brother. So now I'm putting you back to work. It is your turn to go ahead and share another signature selling style.
Absolutely. I'm going to do that. And as I do that, for those folks that are out there that are watching right now, I want you to do 2 things. 1, hit the share button. Just hit the share button, hit the watch party button. Once you do that, write these words. This is very important, but go ahead and write these words right now. Serve plus add value. And that's what this is all about. It's about serving. It's about adding value. It's about making you a better person, us a better person, and also a better interaction between you and the people you're working with every day. You're there to solve a problem. If you didn't write it down earlier, make sure you write down and get your signature story. You may have never done this in your entire life, and maybe you've been blessed and you don't need to learn it, but I'm going to encourage you to share it with someone else. Like, take that link, storytellerquiz.com, and paste that over into a private group that you're involved in, into your mastermind group that you're involved in, or put it onto social media. Andy, I'm sure he's okay with that. Do that right now, so at least you bless someone else. And then I'm going to talk about signature selling style. If you haven't already, text the word signature selling style. Worst case scenario, you text it in and you say, I'm not going to do anything. Best case scenario, you learn your signature selling style, and it helps you for the rest of your life. There is a lifetime benefit, Andy, and that's one of the reasons why I'm so pleased that you were willing to share and teach them how they can learn their story style now, because once they have it for the rest of their life. And if someone was to ask, what's the value of this conversation? This is probably one of those $10,000 type of real deal conversations you're having. And while you're getting it, not in a fire hose style, but you're getting it just as you need it, it's important. So I'm going to now talk about the intuitive signature selling style. And Andy, as I do that, I do agree with you. We want to serve and we want to help so many folks. I'm going to challenge you maybe to give one more signature style, maybe it'll be the heart or something. I'll give one, and then we will have a part two. And we have a part two. We'll bring some more examples, and maybe we'll give a handout that they can have and some cool stuff. We'll invite them back to a part two of this, where we can do maybe a deeper dive and hand out some materials. This start off as a conversation, ladies and gentlemen. We're just gonna have a conversation. Andy challenges me, man, so I had to pull some stuff up and try to make sure I was ready. But I show up. That's what Andy talked about. Show up for your life, baby. And I showed up for you, and I showed up for myself. But that's so important. Okay, Andy, you talked about the juggler. On the signature selling style, there's 7 signature selling styles. And why this is important is because you think about how you're going to generate revenue in your business to really purchase the resources that are necessary to execute the vision you have for the people you were called to serve. And that's going to come down to revenue. So we have something called the intuitive signature selling style. And the intuitive signature selling style is really, really important because if you think about it, many of you, and this might be you, so you listen right now with new ears. If you're out there, watch right now with new eyes. And this might be you. The intuitive signature selling style, they drive people to action based on their intuition. Yeah. Their gut feeling. But Shay, the question asked all the time, do they prepare? Absolutely, they prepare. Shay, have they learned other methodologies? For certain they do. But maybe you've had this situation. And I always say this, it's a Shay, you might want to write this down, that the best intentions don't always equal the best results. And so maybe you found yourself in a situation and you prepared, you worked hard, you're ready. Maybe it was for an exam. Maybe it was for a sporting event. I'm a runner. I run 5 marathons. I enjoy running. And so I prepare before a race and I'm super excited. And maybe for you, it was before a presentation. And you kind of had everything down because, we're perfectionists, some of us. Guilty. That's me. Shh. And you showed up and you got into the game and you're running the plays, but your intuition said it's time to do something different. In football, they call that an audible. That means there's a play, but somebody gets to make a decision, right? And maybe it was during a presentation. You were going to tell a certain story or you was ready, but for some reason the conversation went a different direction. And you relied on your intuition. Or maybe you was talking to someone and your senses went up like Mork and Mindy. Remember Mork and Mindy? And you started tuning in like this and you said, no. My gut feeling is telling me to do this. And so when you think about the intuitive selling style, they rely on the intuition. And maybe you've done this your entire life and it works. But one of the things I know, if you're watching right now, one of the things I believe, if you're like myself or you're like Andy and you are a superstar, because only winners are here. Our new word is champions. Only champions are here right now. So what I believe about you, just the fact that you're here right now, that you already believe. Okay, let's get that out the way. I believe, Shay. Let's get that out the way. What I do understand about you is that you know that you have the potential inside of you to perform at a much higher level than whatever level you're performing at right now. And superstars, even though they rely on their intuition, they all hold one common belief. So all my folks out there that rely on their intuition, it's not a bad thing, but superstars all hold one common belief. Do you know what that one belief is? I'll tell it to you. This is not really a training. This is you and I. We're hanging out. We're having this private conversation. Everybody gets to eavesdrop. But they have the belief that they can always get better. So the reason you want to know your intuitive selling style or what your signature selling style is, combined with your signature story, is so you can get better because there's more people out there right now. They're counting on you. They know that you're going to help them. And that's why you became an entrepreneur. That's why you're in the career profession you're in. That's why you were put on this planet. You know your purpose. God's giving you everything you need right now. You're like, I gotta get better. And so I'm happy you're here right now. So if you're out there right now, you're thinking to yourself, yeah, I need to know my story, signature style, signature style. If that's you out there, and everyone needs to know it. It's not if you need to know it. Everyone needs to know it. I want you to do something right now because Andy's going to give you one more, and I'm going to ask him to do a part 2. Don't worry. I'm going to ask him. When he come back, I'm going to ask him to give us a little more details on some stories and some samples. But if you're out there, you're like, Shay, yeah, I'm going to learn my signature story. So when I come back for part 2, baby, I might not only know what my signature story is, because right now I'm in the dark, Shay. I never heard of this, man. I saw this flyer. Someone forwarded to my page. I didn't know what in the LL Cool J was going on, but I showed up because Andy said show up for your life. But I don't know. But when I come back to part 2, yeah, Andy, I might have some questions for you next time. You go over to learn your signature story. And where do you go? Where do you go? Go to www.storytellerquiz.com. This is very important. Now, Andy's going to give you one more. There's 5. You can't get to 5 because we weren't prepared to do all this. We really weren't. But we'll get to 3. That's my promise to you. And my promise to you is that we will have a part 2. That's my promise. I'll get with Andy and see if I can get on his schedule and make sure we can make this thing happen. And if you're out there and you're saying, Shay, I got it, but now that I know my story, I heard the formula earlier, Shay, that my signature selling style, which is how I sell, based on my gifts, based on my experience, based on everything that God's given me, my signature selling style, once I get that and I know that, I can speak in my voice. What? And then I can worry about learning how the buyers want to buy, their profiles, and then I can learn about this fancy neurolinguistic style. But it all starts here. If that's you, before I give it to Andy, before I give it to him, if that's you and you're like, yeah, Shay, I don't know it, be honest with you, and no one ever told me to do this, it's not your fault. Okay, it's not your fault. You were just never in this conversation. Ever in this conversation. But you're here now. And you're here for a reason. You're here for a purpose. Take your cell phone out if you haven't done it yet. If you never text a number in your life, open up the browser right now and type in 202. That's the number you're going to text. 202-270-1662. Type the word signature because you want to take the quiz to understand your signature selling style so you can understand the words you should be using. You should understand the body language you should be using. We're going to teach you all that. I can't do it now. We only have so much time. But when you come back to part 2, you're like, oh shit, I'm ready. I'm ready, Freddie, as they say. Make sure you include your first name, your last name, your mobile number, and your best contact number so that we can do that. All right, Andy, I want to turn it over to you, man. I know I'm pushing a little bit of the envelope, but I'm sensing that people can take one more. Some people are the juggler. Some people are the reporter. Some people are the intuitive selling style. Some people are the scientist. But they're out there thinking, that's me, but I know what else is out there because I don't know what I don't know, Shay. Let's turn over to Andy and let Andy break down one more that he has in his warehouse. And it can be any of them. It don't have to be hard. It can be any of them, by the way. I just threw that out there. You can pick any of you want.
Yeah. So here's the thing. So far we talked about the reporter, aka Logical Storyteller. We talked about this individual that we think about. We say, wait a second, we did the reporter, but what about this juggler, right? This person that just whatever comes to mind, the aka Accidental Storyteller. Now, the third one I want to talk to you about is who we refer to as the evangelist. The evangelist, aka heart-centered storyteller, right? So this person that we refer to as the evangelist, anytime that they're sharing a story, I mean, they are emotionally connected to what they are talking about. And the reason why we call them an evangelist is they're evangelical about what they're communicating. And it doesn't really matter what it is that they're talking about. I have a friend of mine who is a friend and also a graduate from my Master Storyteller Academy. His name is Rudy LaRose. And Rudy found out many years ago that I had a Dell laptop. And the moment he found out that I had a Dell laptop, Rudy ended up telling me story after story after story as to why I needed a MacBook Pro. Do you hear me?
Yes.
A MacBook Pro, right? And so what happens is, not only was he telling me the story, and I want you to be thinking about this, he's talking to me about a computer. He's talking about an inanimate object. He's talking about something that has a power cord, something that has a screen, and something that has a keyboard. But if you were to see us having a conversation and you couldn't hear us, but you were just watching his body language and watching how passionate he was about it, you would think that he was sharing something that was a matter of life and death. Because to Rudy LaRose, you not having an Apple product is a matter of life and death. So when he shares those stories, it is not a story where he's sharing based off of the details and the facts. It's about the way that he feels about the product. And so he's almost like evangelical. He's an evangelist, and he is enrolling completely from the heart. And so the beautiful thing about an evangelist or a heart-centered storyteller is when they begin to share a story, one thing you don't have to worry about is you don't have to worry about them not having the passion. You don't have to worry about them not really being emotionally connected to what they're talking about. And you most certainly don't have to worry about them not necessarily connecting with you. And so that's the beautiful thing. We think about a heart-centered or evangelical storyteller. You think about a Martin Luther King, right? That says, that I have a dream speech. I have a dream that one day my four little children, right, will one day live in a nation where they would not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. Like when you hear Martin Luther King and he says, I've made it to the mountaintop. And he talks about, but it's okay, right? I may not get there with you. When he is speaking, when he is sharing that I have a dream speech, you don't even need to see the speech. You can feel the speech because you can tell that when he's speaking not from his head, but he's speaking from the heart, and he's connecting with you on a heart level. And that is the power of the evangelical or the evangelist storyteller. Now, here's what's important for you to know. The beautiful thing about the evangelist is that they do connect, right? The beautiful thing about the evangelist is they have the passion. The beautiful thing about the evangelist is you are going to feel what they are saying. However, the challenge though with the evangelist is that sometimes they're so evangelical about what they're talking about. They're so passionate about what they're talking about that sometimes they can continue to just sort of go off on a tangent, or sometimes go on and on and on, right? And, I like to joke around a lot when I was thinking about this particular storyteller style. For those of you that have been in the church and have seen a pastor or someone delivering a speech and say, hey, if you guys just wait, I got just give me one more minute or 1 second here, one minute, one more second. I'm almost done. And if you've ever seen someone say, I'm almost done, and then go on for another hour, or say, give me one more minute, and then go on for another 30 minutes, or watch someone speak about something, and at first you love it because they're so passionate about it, and then after a while, you're like, all right already, I had enough, right? So one of the shortfalls of being an evangelist, a heart-centered storyteller, is that sometimes if you don't have the proper structure, that passion can actually end up working against you, okay? So we want to have passion, we want to have purpose, but we also want to make sure that we have structure. And the lack passion without structure can be very destructive. I'm going to say that again. Passion without structure can be very destructive. So the evangelists, although they are phenomenal at connecting, one of the things that is a stretch goal, as I like to say, is to really work on getting the structure, okay? So do me a favor right now, put hashtag evangelist #evangelist. Now, what you're going to find for everything that I'm sharing and everything that Shay is sharing, the number one, there's not one right or wrong style when it comes to your signature selling style or when it comes to your actual storyteller style. There's actually some things that are phenomenal about each one of those styles. Like there's something really awesome about that scientist when it comes to the selling because person is really thought out. They have the details. They've got the information, right? But the thing about being the scientist, like what Shay was talking about, sometimes they're too committed to the facts and the details that they don't know when they can pivot and that they should acquiesce to what their gut is saying and what their instinct is saying, right? So when you think about this, Bishop T.D. Jakes wrote a book called Instinct. And in the book, he talks about when he went on a safari, Shay, and he said that he had one guy sitting next to him and the guy was the intellect. Like he could tell you everything about the forest, tell you everything about the elephant that they were looking for at the time. But he said that sitting on the end of the Jeep was a native, a Zulu. And the native did not say very much. However, when they were looking for the elephant, it was the Zulu who was sitting on the end of the Jeep that ended up saying, the elephant is over there. And Bishop T.D. Jakes talks about in the book Instinct, what he realizes there's a difference between intellect, the scientific selling person, and instinct, the intuitive person, right? And they both have value. Now, the intellect was able to talk about everything about the elephant, but only the Zulu used the instinct to get them to the elephant. So I want you to realize that each one has its role, and that's why it's important that it's not just important what you identify with, but it's also important that you understand the rest of these styles. Because number one, so you can have more depth and more understanding of what's working for you, also understanding what's working against you, and then also being aware of the different styles so that when you're on the other end of the table and you're selling per se, and you have someone on the other end who is scientific and you're very intuitive, you know you're gonna have to bring in some more facts and details. Or if you're the storyteller and you're the reporter, logical storyteller, but you can tell that you have some evangelist sitting in your audience, then you better understand, you better find a way to bring some passion and to go from your head and go to your heart. And that's why I can't even begin to tell you the value of you making sure that you understand all of what these styles are. Now, unfortunately, we're not going to go through all 7 of the signature selling styles, nor all 5, and we'll do a part 2. But that's why it's going to be so important that I'm talking about the moment we're done here, that you guys make sure that, number one, that you make sure that you take the actual Storyteller Quiz that we talked about, right? So that's storytellerquiz.com, storytellerquiz.com. What's really cool, the quiz is going to take you less than a minute. If you're an overachiever and you decide to take advantage of my free bonus training, that'll be another like 14 minutes, okay? But the quiz itself is only a minute. And then not only is it important that you understand your signature, your storyteller style, but it's also important that you understand what your signature selling style is. And that's why you're going to make sure that you text the word signature to 202-270-1662. And so just like, you know, for those of you, if you've never done this before, you just pull out your cell phone and where you would normally text a friend and say, hey, how you doing? You're going to put the word signature, but you're going to text it to the telephone number 202-270-1662. Now, after you do that, you're probably going to be prompted to do a couple more things. You want to follow those prompts so that you can figure out what your signature selling style is. But I tell you, when you combine the both of these, when you understand what your storyteller style is, and you also understand what your signature selling style is, let me tell you something. You become dangerous. extremely dangerous because these two work in tandem. Great storytellers are also great sellers. That's why they even have a term called story selling. All right. And not only that, but people who are phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal at sales have great insight into understanding the different styles of selling and also the different motivations for the different selling styles. Okay. So it's essential that you understand both of these. And that's why I'm so excited for those of you that are hanging out with us right now, because I just know how much value you're going to receive. And what's cool about all this, everything that we are offering you right now to at least learn about yourself is free. Like, it is free to take the Storyteller Quiz, and it is free for you to learn your signature selling style. So take advantage, especially in today's environment, of free. And we always know, yes, naturally, some of you are what we give for free, you're going to love. But then, yeah, we know some of you are going to probably, maybe perhaps want to find out more from me and Shay. That's cool too. But just know what we're discussing now, there's no restriction for you to take advantage of it. So there's no excuse. Like, figure out what your storyteller style is and also figure out what your signature selling style is. And one of the ways that I'm personally going to hold you accountable is tomorrow I'm heading over to the Happy Entrepreneur Show Facebook page, and I'm going to find this show, and I'm going to look through the comments, and I'm going to find out how many of you remember to come back and post your results. How many of you are going to remember to share your signature selling style, and how many of you are going to remember to also come back and share your storyteller style? Like, I know I get a kick out of it, right? I enjoy it. Because I like to see what people's results were, see what your thoughts were about it, if you were surprised. And of course, there's always going to be some people say, oh, yeah, but I thought I was this. Well, listen, with everything we're sharing, you're going to possess some of all of them, but there's going to be one that's really dominant. And that's what you're going to learn when you take both of our quizzes, which is really, really cool. So, Shay, man, I've hijacked your show, my brother.
You really did, Andy. And what I like to do in the few remaining minutes that we have, we will do a part two, is that I do want to share. You talked about the signature story selling style, and one of them was the evangelist, or better known as the heart-centered selling style. And on the sales side, we've been kind of lining up the importance of folks being who they were, just as a quick recap. And we started off with the whole premise, which I think for most of you was where you were, which is it's time to get rid of scripts. And that really scripts are for actors. And at the end of the day, guess what? Well, you, my friend, you are not an actor. And at the end of the day, I want you to really sell like you. And isn't that what you want to do? Wherever you are, is be authentic. At the end of the day, you want to be yourself. You want to be natural. You want to be transparent. And this is just a 30-second recap, or a little long, but I wanted you to have that because I wanted you to understand and hear where Andy's heart is when he's teaching you story signature style. I want you to hear where my heart is. Be authentic, be natural, be transparent. Someone write that down in your notes. Be authentic, be natural, be transparent. Be authentic, be natural, be transparent. Be what? Authentic. Be what? Natural. Be
Natural.
what? Be transparent. Because being you at the end of the day is really, really beautiful. And you can be yourself. And so I talked about really two signature selling styles, and I'm going to break this thing and wind it down. I talked about first being on one side and saying there's the scientist signature selling style. And for some of you, when I said that, it kind of clicked in your brain because you're like, that's me, Shay. I focus more on facts and data. And it's not a good thing. It's not a bad thing. It just is what it is. And sometimes one of the setbacks with that is, yes, you're prepared. Yes, you can prove the case. Yes, you can argue the customer all the way down. I had a client of mine. He's a really good man, really good insurance agent, and one of the best in the business. But he is the scientist guy in the world. He will argue the reason down why you need to have this particular policy. Again, it's not a good thing. It's not a bad thing. It works. The guy's been in business for a number of years, but it's not a question if he's in business. It's not a question how well he's doing. The question is, how many more people can you serve? How many more people can you help? How many more lives can you have more meaning in by just being able to connect? have the right story, and connect with your signature selling style, understanding the buyer's profile. And then, Andy, we went from there, and you went to one side, you talked about the juggler, and I said, well, wait a minute. We have something like that. And something like that is the intuitive signature selling style. And they are basing it on intuition. And they do really, really well. It's not that they do bad, they do really well. But let me ask the question, if I can, if you was on trial for murder, I'll just make that up, and you could be getting the death penalty, and your attorney shows up and says, and you say, are you ready? Yeah. Did you prepare? No. Why not? I do best under pressure. I'll just rely on my intuition. Now they're about to go up and argue the reason why your life should be spared, and they tell you, don't worry, I'm best under pressure. My intuition kicks in. It really does. Now, do you want to rely on that person or the person that's taking some time? They understand their signature selling style. They understand their story selling style. And when they show up not only knowing theirs, but they know the jurors as well. I'm not a betting man, but if my head was on a chopping block, I'm not going with the person that just relying on intuition. I know that's probably not a good analogy, and I gotta do better. I gotta take Andy's class again. God darn it! So I can do a little better with these analogies. I've got to do better. But you might be thinking, Shay, I get it. I've done that. I've been that person that walked away and said, I should have told him this story. I forgot. I should have did this. I wrote it down. Why is it in the moment that I don't always come through? You come through sometimes, but it's not about sometimes right now. It's about how in your life are you what we would call a Hall of Fame player. A lot of folks, there's 450 players in the NBA, for example. Now all are going to the Hall of Fame. But you, for your life, you're going to be a Hall of Famer. And to do that, you've got to continue to get better. So let me tell you another style, because you want to know your style. There's 7. I'm going to 3. You may say I'm a little here and a little there, but I don't know. Don't worry, we'll tell you how to do that. But I want you to slow down for a moment, and then we're going to talk about one that's Andy just talked about, and I think it's so important. And it's certainly my signature selling style, and I believe it's Andy's signature selling style. And it's called the heart-centered selling style. Go ahead and jot that down in your notes, just so you have it. The heart-centered selling style. Let me say that one more time, and I want to make sure it resonates with you and make sure you hear it. It's the heart-centered selling style. Now, the heart-centered selling style is really, really important here because they sell from the heart. That's why it's called the heart-centered selling style. But more importantly, hear me out, more importantly, there has to be an emotional connection. They got to feel it. They got to feel it here. It's not about some fancy words to say, some neuro-linguistic words to say to make them levitate and want your product or service. It's not about that. No. It's about really the emotional, the heart-to-heart connection. They truly want to serve.
Yes.
They don't care about the money. They care about the meaning they're about to have in someone's life or their business. And it's not about the income that's going into their bank account, although they want that. It's really about the impact that they're going to make. And it's a good thing. It can be a bad thing sometimes because sometimes they give too much. Sometimes people say you care too much. You're so involved. It's not you. Why do you worry about that? Because they have the heart-centered selling style. And you know this because I had a good friend who I ended up working with. And it's a barter situation, and I love this person. She's an amazing person. And for some reason, she wasn't getting the results she wanted. Now, she makes good money to me, but she said, Shay, my bank account doesn't reflect how good I am. I should be making more. And that's what you'll learn about all superstars. They always want more, okay? Not more money, but they want to get better, just a little bit better. And so we were having a conversation, and I said, you probably don't know what your signature selling style is if you want to take the test. And I know that's not a positive way to start because if she never taken the test, how will she know her signature selling style? And I said, but yeah, I believe it's a heart-centered selling style. Let's take this. And when she did, I said, when you get to the close, because she knew her heart-centered selling style. She knew the strengths. She knows the weaknesses. Just like Andy, that's one of the benefits when you learn your style. There's some positive things and there's some things that kind of hold you back. And there's different language patterns you're using when your heart-centered selling style. And I said, when you get to the end, you want to feel the person. So you might ask a question. How do you feel about moving forward and hiring us. And that's how they feel. Don't say, do you want to sign the contract? I know you want. No, all that slick language, that's good. That's not for you. Tony Robbins has a different signature selling style. Great guy. I studied the guy. I love the guy. He's what you have called the rock star signature selling style. That's part 2. I can't get into that right now. But just know he's the type of guy that says, you got to do this. Do it now. You heard me. Do it now. Don't bullshit. Do me. He curses all the time. I don't curse all the time. But do it now. God darn it. Don't play with me. And that works. There's nothing wrong with that. For the right buyer profile, that's perfect. But that's not my style. It's not a good thing or bad thing. And so I said, start talking about how you feel. When this person took up what I talked about, what they found was the connection was there. When they got to the end, it was more of, I want to help you. And even if you don't allow me to help you, I'm still going to help someone else. But how do you feel about what I'm saying? And just that feeling and creating with the right buyer profile created this synergy and this harmony. And I guess when you're in a relationship, I'm married now, they would call it the chemistry when you were dating. The chemistry is just there. And isn't that a good thing? You want your stories, you want how you serve them to have chemistry. And one of the ingredients is your signature story and your signature selling style. You put those two together, it's like peanut butter and jelly. It's what you want. It's like finally getting power for your phone. It's there. And so with that being said, we will have a part 2. I'm going to just make sure that, Andy, and I'll give you an opportunity to give your closing thoughts. But I want to make sure if you're out there right now and you're listening, hit the share button, please. Hit the watch party button. We want to serve as many people as we can. And we can't do it by ourselves. It's not about me, I promise you. And it's not about Andy for sure. But it's about all the folks out there that are like myself and Andy. And at one point, all the Google searches didn't get them this answer. Okay? All the YouTube videos that they watched, you probably watched 10,000 hours of YouTube videos. It wasn't there. All the Facebook lives they were watching, no one said, this is it, this is it. It wasn't there. And if it was, if they could find it by some miracle, certainly they needed a credit card. And that credit card better have a $5,000 plus limit on it. Okay? The value is priceless that we're having a conversation right now. So if you don't know your signature selling style, after you hit the share button right now, pay this forward. Thank you so much. I want you to go ahead and make sure that you go over to StorytellerQuiz.com. Do that now because we're about down the home stretch. Go to www.StorytellerQuiz.com. Get there and follow the instructions. Now I'm going to ask you to do me a favor. Take that link and post it onto your social media Facebook page. For those folks that are watching this maybe through LinkedIn right now, put it there. If you got a hold of this long lost video and you go, wow, Shay, I got a hold of this for whatever reason, go to that link right now. If it's working, thank God. If there's no credit card, thank Andy, okay? And so do that now because this is your moment and this is your time and it's ready to step up and you never knew this. So just go over there now. Worst case scenario, you get there and it's just a waste of your time. Say, Shay, I went to the website. This is a waste. I don't need it. No big deal. No big deal. But someone else does. And if you're out there in business and sales and you've been asking yourself the one question that often comes up with people, and the number one question they ask is, Shay, how can I not sell faster, but how can I get my products and services? How can I connect faster with people? What do I need to say? I said, stop. There's no red pill. There's no blue pill. I know the Matrix is an old movie. I get it. But there is none of that. There is how you sell. Based on who you are, based on the gifts and experiences and expertise that God has given you. It's in you. Let's just learn that and let's make it better. If that's you and you're ready to learn your signature selling style, do me a favor. Don't do it for me. Do it for you. Go ahead and text the word signature right now. Text the word signature. Open up a browser. Text the word signature to 202-270-1662. Again, 202-270-1662. Text your first name. We're requiring that. Text your last name so we know who you are. Text your best mobile number so maybe I can text it to you. And please make sure you include your email. Some of you still like to get emails. I get it. But I do want to turn it over to Andy, have his closing comments. We'll have a part 2. Okay. And if you're out there right now, and this has been of good value, look right below the video right now. Look right below the video. And I don't want you to say thank Andy or thank Shay or any of that nature. I just want you to look right below the video. Just write, I'm ready to serve. Just put, I'm ready to serve at a much higher level. I believe you. Andy, over to you, man. It's always an honor and a
I,
privilege, as they would say, a treat and a treasure to hang out with my good frat brother, number one, good man, a Kappa Alpha Psi. Number
yep.
two, a family man, your great husband, doing some wonderful things, taking time away from your daughter right now when you and the wife are out doing what you're doing. And more importantly, your ability and heart to give and spend so much time with the audience and those folks that showed up. So thanks a lot, man. I can't wait to folks to share what their signature story is, but more importantly, I can't wait for them to learn the techniques behind the signature story that allow them to connect faster, allow them to convert faster, and allow them to build connections that last a lifetime, man. Over to you for your final thoughts, man. You're really incredible and you're one of a kind.
Shay, man. So first of all, man, I appreciate you hanging out with me, man, and partially letting me hijack your show. And for everyone tuning in, on a serious note, like I really, really hope that you got a lot of value and a lot of insight from what we shared. What we shared with you, although we really tried to simplify it, to be honest with you, for us, it wasn't always that simple, right? And there was a lot of spinning our wheels, a lot of comparison. Like, when you are trying to make your market a marketplace, what you have a tendency to do is really compare yourself to other people. And you see other folks are having success. And so you believe that the only way you got success is to do it just the same way that they do it. That's the way that they sell. So that's the way you've got to sell. That's the way that they tell their story. They share their message. So you have to do it that way. And the reality of it is that's not true, right? Because the reason why we know that's not true is we can look around and find people who have very different styles and yet are very effective, right? So the key is not for you to get caught up with the comparison game, but the key is for you to fully own who you are and to understand who you are. So number one, you can figure out what's working for you, figure out what are the things that you need to grow and stretch and work on, and then have a better understanding of those around you that you're also looking to connect and enroll. And that's why you understanding what your signature selling style and storyteller style, it's more than just taking a quiz. It's really about you getting a lot more insight into yourself and having more insight into the people that you're looking to serve. Now, if you wanted to combine, when we were talking about, how do our worlds combine? And I want you to write these 3 words down, and you can even put them in the chat. The first is story. And then if you're a note taker, you can put story with the arrow. The next word I want you to put is serve, and then put another arrow, and then put sell. Story, serve, sell. Those are the 3 S's. That is how all of this comes together, okay? We need to show up in the marketplace with first a story, something that allows us to be able to capture people's attention and connect with them. And your story, not just a selfish story, a story just about you, but the story that your ideal customer and client can relate to, right? Your story of figuring things out, your story of losing the weight, your story of finding the love, your story of struggling in sales, your story of struggling to be able to communicate with people, your story of overcoming your trials, whatever. The thing that your ideal customer and client can connect to. We start with the story, right? We've got to have that. Then the other thing is we've got to serve, right? At the end of the day, if you want to have more impact, it's a direct result of you serving more people. If you think about people who are highly influential, they did not set out to make a lot of money. That was not their primary goal, okay? Bill Gates' driving goal was not to make a lot of money, right? Mark Zuckerberg, regardless of how you feel about him or not, his primary goal was not to just get out there and make a whole lot of money. Oprah Winfrey's primary goal was not to make a whole lot of money. The list goes on and on and on of the people that you have seen have tremendous success. What their intention was to serve. Their intention was to leverage their gifts, their skills, their talents, to find a way to be able to make impact. And so we want to make sure that you're fully aware of the only way that your story works and the only way that the selling works is if you're willing to serve. And you've got to figure out how to use your gifts, how to use your skills, how to use your talents to be able to serve in the marketplace. However, the reason why most people who serve with all of their heart end up oftentimes missing the mark and end up not having the amount of impact that they want to have, and they end up folding up the tent prematurely and giving up on their passion and their goals and their dreams, is because they struggle to do the last part, which is sell. Okay? At the end of the day, I don't know what feeling you have towards selling, but I want you to understand that we are all in the business of selling, right? For the pastor, for the believer, they're selling and making people understand that, there's another way to live life, and also let them know that, that there's this free gift that they don't have to earn, that was given to them, right? Every single one of us, whether it's in the faith-based setting, business setting, marketing, relationship, fitness, nonprofit, we're all selling something. You're selling a vision, you're selling a dream, you are selling a different course of action, you're selling a lifestyle, you're selling, something. Make no mistake about it. We are all in the business of selling. So it takes all of those things working together. Your story, serving, and then selling. And then that's what keeps it going around over and over and over again. And that's what gives you staying power and lasting power to be able to make impact. So what I'm hoping is that this is not just another conversation that you listened into and say, hey, that was real cool. Hey, did you catch that session between Shay Brown and Andy Henriquez? Hey, that was really cool or whatever. But what I'm hoping is that not only do you watch this session, but that you do take the action, take the Storyteller Quiz, make sure that you actually text in. You also take your signature selling style quiz so that you really understand these things so that you can implement them and apply it in your life. And when you do, come back to the Happy Entrepreneur Show, post it in the comments, make sure you hit up me and Shay and say, hey, I took your quiz. This was my results. Oh, man, I took advantage of your bonus training. Or, man, that was awesome. Let us know, because that's the whole reason why we do this. It's fun, right? So we want to know from you all, right? We want to know that, hey, you got some value, you got some insight. We want to hear back from you. So make sure that you do that. And Shay, man, I had a blast. We definitely going to have to make sure that we have a part 2.
Absolutely, man. That was the promise. And one of the things I know is that you're a man that once you promise something, you fulfill the promise. And I'm going to be right there with you to come back, because there's more. And that's the good news. Here's what I want you to know. I want to say first, thank all of you for watching. We appreciate you spending time. One of the things that we know is you can always make more money. You can always make more money, but you can't make more time. And you've given us the most precious gift you have right now, which is your time. Thank you. For everyone hit the share button, thank you so much. For everyone who wanted the share button, haven't hit the share button, you can still hit it now and you can still pay it forward. We believe in the giver's economy. The person that outgives the competition out-earns the competition. The person outgives the competition out-earns the competition. And I want you to know that as you're listening right now, that indeed, and we say it, but it's so true, that this is your moment, that this is your time, that you can do this, and that for you, the best is still yet to come. Why? Because you can now learn your signature story, which allows you to connect with more people and build these type of collaborations, and in some cases get clients, because that's what you want to do. And that's going to help so many people. I know that. So the best is yet to come. For others, today is your January 1st, because you are no longer held hostage and having to use a sales script. You're no longer hostage and have to sound like a coach or sound like this person. No. Today is your January 1st. You can break through and you can be authentic. You can be transparent, and more importantly, you can be yourself. And so now you can tell your stories. You now can serve. You now can help more folks. And for you, you're going to have more impact in the world. The income will come. And as my good friend Delatorre would say, you're going to make $1 and a difference at the same time. And it's more about the difference than it is about the what? So with that being said, for those folks who want to know who's doing all that screaming, who's doing all those yelling, my name, for those folks who don't know, is Shay Brown, the happy entrepreneur. Make it a great day, everyone. And I promise you from the bottom of my heart, we'll make some good things happen. We connect again next time. Remember, time is long. Life is short. You got to live in the moment. You got to make it count. God bless. We wish you success. Thanks a lot, Andy, man. Peace. Fanuk, my brother, I love you so much, man. Can't wait to connect. We'll see y'all part 2. We out of here. We're gone. Promise I made to my mom. I only did this message for one person, and that's my mom. This is for you, Mom. Love you. My name is Shay Brown, the happy entrepreneur. Make it a great day, everyone. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, Shay Brown.
Mic check, mic check.
All I do is win, no matter what. Got money on my mind, I can never get enough. And every time I step up in the building, everybody hands go up.
Yes. Yeah.
And they stay there. And they stay there, and they stay there. Cause all I do is win. Yeah.
Thank you. God bless.